Now, to convert your low resolution logo or graphic into a high res vector, there's a simple little tool we can rely on in Photoshop, but the odds are that you don't even have it enabled yet. Now, this tool is called the Content Aware Tracing tool, and by default, it's not within your toolbar. So on a Mac, I'll go up to Photoshop, Settings, and then Technology Previews. If you're on a Windows computer, go to Edit, Preferences, and then Technology Previews. Within this window, we want to enable the Content Aware Tracing tool right here. I've already gone ahead and done that, so it's in my version of Photoshop already. But once you enable it, if it's the first time, we'll click OK, and then you need to restart Photoshop before you'll see that tool. Now for me, that tool appeared right down here at the bottom of the toolbar, but if you do not see this, just go and click on the three dots, choose Edit Toolbar, and then from the Extra Tools section, it should appear in here, and from there you can just click and drag it into one of your existing tool groups. But once that's good to go and you have access to that tool, we can begin our process. I'll click on Done, and the first step that I like to do, especially if you have a really low res graphic, is to upscale it so that this tool can get slightly better results right from the start. Now, the logo that I'm working with here is just 250 by 250 pixels at 72 ppi, and you can see all of that pixelation around here. But if we quickly upscale this before we convert it into a vector, we'll get a more accurate path around the entire shape. To quickly upscale this, all we need to do is select that layer inside of the Layers panel, go to Image, and then image size. Within this window, we can go and set the resolution to 300, and this will automatically change the width and height to fit the new pixel density for our resolution. For the resample amount, I'll set this to Preserve Details 2.0. The noise doesn't really matter too much in this case because we just have a very simple logo, but you can play around with it to see the results it gets in your preview. With that good to go, we'll click OK. That's now going to make my project 300 pixels per inch. So we have a slightly higher resolution logo to begin with. With this now upscaled, we can use the Content Aware Tracing tool, and I'll start by setting the tracing mode here to Simplified. The reason I'm using Simplified is just because we have a very simple logo. There's not a lot of detailed edges, and I just want it to be the most clean and uniform possible outline for this conversion. If you have any problems with the path that this tool creates, you can try to use one of these other options. Likewise, if you have a lot of variance within the edge of the graphic or logo, I would recommend just bringing up the detail slider as well. But here you can see it makes no difference with the basic logo. I'll also enable auto trim and align edges. Now with all of these settings good to go, I'm going to first set the mode here to shape rather than path, because that way we'll be able to trace the edges of this logo with the paths while also filling it with a color so it basically will look the same as the original. So with that mode set to shape here, I'll begin by hovering on the outer edge of that graphic. You can kind of see that little red line that's appearing to represent the path. So I can just go on and off there. You can see that line appearing. So if I now click, that's going to turn the outer edges that it detects from that logo into a new shape layer, as you see here in the layer stack. And then that shape is made up of anchor points or a path so that it is now technically infinitely scalable. But of course, we're missing a few pieces here. We have this extra bit of the wing. So I'll go hover over the edge of that wing and click on it to add that now as another shape layer. And then finally, we have the eye to remove from the hummingbird. So I'll just go and hover over that area here, click again to create that new shape as a new shape layer. But as of now, it is just a circular shape and it's not being cut out from the hummingbird head. So to fix this, we can use our shape component settings within our shape tools. These allow us to change how two paths, aka the structure or the outline of a shape, how those two things interact with one another. Since I want this top shape of the circle to be subtracted from the underlying hummingbird head, I'm going to begin by merging both of them onto a single shape layer. I can do this by dragging that circular shape directly above the hummingbird. Then I'll hold Command or Control and click on both of those layers to select each of them, and then press Command or Control E to merge them onto a single layer. But you'll notice that when I click on that layer, I still have both of those paths visible. With those layers merged, I can access the shape tool by pressing U. It doesn't matter what shape tool is selected, but then up in the options bar, we can click on the shape components option and then choose the subtract front shape. What this is going to do is basically tell Photoshop that this circle I want to subtract the contents of from the head of the hummingbird. So then that way, if I look at this layer isolated, you can see it is now cut out like this. Now, currently we have two different pieces of our logo. We have the main bit of the body here, and then we have the outer edge of the wing. If you want to control the colors of different parts of your logo separately, then you'll want to keep those layers separate as well. So then that way you could, for example, click on this shape layer, access the shape tool, and then go up to the options bar and change the fill color as you would like. And then that way we can have two different colors for different parts of our logo, but it's up to you whether you want to do that. In this case, I want everything to be exactly like the original, so it's all going to be the same color. So therefore, I'll once again merge everything by holding Command or Control and selecting all of the layers that I want to merge onto a single shape layer, and then make sure that your shape components is set to New Layer or Combine Shapes. And then with that good to go, we can press Command or Control E to merge them onto one. And now when we change our fill color within our shape tool settings, it's going to apply to all of the shapes merged within that shape layer. Now at this point, we've basically just created a shape version of the logo. So how is this now a higher resolution? To prove this to you, let me go and rescale the canvas to a much larger size, and then we'll resize the image as well as the vector so you can clearly tell the difference. I'll begin by accessing my crop tool by pressing C. I'll just zoom out, and then I'll begin to drag out and hold Alt or Option and the Shift key to scale it proportionally from the center. And you can see by that little box in my cursor, I'm at about a 3500 pixel canvas now. With that good to go, I'll confirm my changes and then click on both of these layers, holding Command or Control to select each of them, grab the Move tool, and then I'll scale them up to fit this canvas like so, pressing the check mark to confirm those changes. Now, if I were to zoom in here and then disable the vectorized shape layer version of our logo, you can see how the quality of the original logo looks. But if I go and disable the original logo and turn on only the shape, you can now clearly see how sharp this looks. But if there are any little areas that you don't like, because sometimes the content tracing tool can make little mistakes, we can always update these paths later on. Clicking on the shape layer that you have a problem with, we can access the direct path selection tool right here, and then go and click on the path to view all of the anchor points. If there's an anchor point that you don't like, we can click on it, right click, and go to delete anchor point, for example, and then that will remove any anchor points that are causing weird bumps or things within your logo. We can also go and adjust the control arms of specific anchor points to change how a path is being curved. For example, if I wanted this path to be a straight line, I could just click on the anchor point and then hold Alt or Option and click on the control arm to just edit that one control arm and move it to a new location. This will change up the curve between the two related anchor points. I can then do the same thing for the other half, clicking on the other anchor point, holding Alt or Option, and then moving this over. So then now we have a nice straight line here rather than that lump that we had before. Now you can go and do this around your entire logo if there are any issues, but for now I'm happy with how this looks. Now at this point, we've successfully turn that low-res logo into something high resolution, as well as it's now a vector, but we're missing one crucial step. But before we get there, I understand if this is a lot to remember and keep up with, and all of the new tools that are added to Photoshop can be a lot to keep a handle on. So if you ever feel overwhelmed by the program, but want to learn a simple set of skills that never change no matter the updates that are applied to the program, then make sure to download my free Photoshop Pro ebook in the link in the description or the pinned comment below. That'll give you a step-by-step blueprint of what to focus on in Photoshop first so that it doesn't feel as overwhelming, especially as new tools like this one get added to the program. But anyways, let's go and finish things off by exporting to SVG. Now, the reason that we export to SVG is that it's going to maintain all of our path information, because if we want to have that infinitely scalable vector that we've just created with this shape layer, that is only going to be saved saved after our export if we use the SVG file format. By default, you won't have this within your format settings if you went to something like File, Save a Copy, or File, Export, or Export As. Instead, what we need to do is go and enable our Legacy Export As settings if you haven't done that already. Once again, in the Photoshop preferences, on a Mac, I'll go to Photoshop, Settings, and then down here to Export. On a Windows computer, you'll go to Edit, Preferences, and then Export. And from this window, we want to enable Use Legacy Export As. With this good to go, I'll click OK, and then make sure to disable any assets that are not your shape layer. With that good to go, we can now export this by going to File, Export, and then Export As, but this time it's going to work a little bit differently with some extra format options. When we have the Legacy Export As enabled, we'll have the SVG format available within our file settings. So enabling that here, we can choose any width and extra information that we need for our export, and then go ahead and export it. Now, once you've exported to SVG, if you open it back into Photoshop, it's going to ask you to rasterize it because it can't read all of the path information within the SVG file. But if you open that same file into Illustrator, you would have all of the path information that you saved from Photoshop. However, despite Photoshop telling you to rasterize the SVG when you open it, you can set it to any resolution or dimension that you want upon opening. In this case, you can see I have a 14,000 pixel document at 300 ppi. But when I zoom in, we still have a tack sharp edge because of the vector conversion that we had done. If we were to compare this to the original logo here, you can see the massive difference in quality, and this is at a fraction of the size of canvas in this case. So regardless of the rasterization of your SVG, when you bring it back into Photoshop, it's still going to look amazing in all of your future projects.